Okay, viewers, it looks like we got some of this pretty much sorted out now. This is the pigtail for the battery, which has the breaker and the hot line and the ground that plugs into the battery over here. We got the motor pretty much squared away. You just hook up these motor wires, match them up. You hook up your hall wire, which goes straight to the controller. This is the power switch, which we got a little power switch right here. We're going to strip these wires off and put them on these terminals and hook that up. Then this was really confusing to me because there's only 3 wires, and the way they got it on the diagram on the computer, they say, well, you can hook up, for simplest writing, you either hook up black and gray to this switch. The black goes in the center and the gray would go on this side for simplest use, which means you only go in one direction. If you want reverse, then you hook up the yellow wire to the other side. So we're going to hook that up. And the other thing we got left to hook up is the this is the throttle, which is right here, which I'm going to hook the throttle up just like I did before to a terminal block. And then the wires are down here for the throttle and for the battery indicator. So we're going to hook up the battery indicator and the throttle, these two guys, to the terminal block. And then we should be able to mount the motor down on a piece of wood, clamp it down to the table here, and we should be able to rock and roll and see if it works. Now look at the difference between the 1000 watt and 1800 watt controller. That's why I say this thing's humongous. So we'll have to kind of figure out a way to mount this. But I'm sure I'm pretty innovative, and I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. Anyway, that's where we're at. Well, viewers, we got this thing all wired up. Unfortunately, we got problems. I'll try to explain to you what's going on here. Number one, they don't really give you a good diagram about this forward reverse switch. It has 6 prongs on it, and there's only 3 wires that come to it. So I'm not sure if I'm hooking this up correctly, because there's no wiring diagram showing the switch how it's hooked up. That's the first problem. The second problem is, now I can turn on the system. I'm getting the indicator is showing the battery's fully charged, and let's see here, show me the voltage, 53.6 volts, which is about right when it's fully charged. So, and there's my battery bar. So we know that is working because that's coming from the controller, and I hooked that up, these 2 wires up right here to the terminal block. The other thing I did is I hooked up this thumb throttle to this terminal block. There's 3 wires. There's a red wire and a black wire and a return wire, which is for your variable voltage. So what I did is I took my voltmeter here and I checked the voltage coming from the controller to the input side, red and black, and I should be getting at least 53 volts. I'm only getting 2 volts. So something's not right. So basically what I'm saying is the thumb throttle's not working, which means the motor's not turning. So either I wired this up wrong, or I got a defect in one of the... So the first thing I'll probably do is check my wires here, make sure that these are hooked up. I get a good connection on these, because I'm only getting 2 volts. Or you can't use this thumb throttle, you have to use the pedal throttle. If that's the case, I'll be returning this motor kit to the seller. Now I did leave a seller, I sent them a message telling them that I'm having wiring problems, mainly with this forward reverse switch, because they don't show a diagram of this. It's pretty piss poor diagram on mine. That was one of the things that were most everybody was complaining about that bought these. So they had to get in touch with the seller for them to send them a more detailed wiring diagram. And that's exactly what I did. Hopefully this will resolve my problem, because I'm not sure if I have a defective part, mainly this, or I can't use the thumb throttle, or I'm wiring it up wrong, or I got a defective wire somewhere in here. And another thing I complained about to the seller is that they give you all the labeling for the controller, where what it's for and where it goes, but when you go to the wiring harness, there's no labels on them, so you don't know which goes to which, because some of them are the same kind of prongs, so you don't know if that one goes to that, and none of the wire codes match up. So I don't know, which one goes to which. But not only that, I couldn't use this wire harness anyway because it's too short, and so that's another thing I complained about to the seller. So basically I have to do my own wiring, my own wire harness, which I don't mind doing because I didn't have a problem with the other motor doing that. So that's kind of where we're at. But I don't see why this thumb throttle would be a big deal, because it's a 3-wire, exactly as the pedal throttle they give you. So that shouldn't be an issue. So like I said, I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong or I have a defective part in my hands, which I believe it's probably from the controller, because I did check the voltage from the controller to here. But like I said, I did put these 3 connectors on there, so I'm not sure. Maybe I got I don't have a good connection or something. So one way to find out is cut these wires and use wire nuts and see if I can bring up that voltage. That's something I'll probably do. And so we're dead in the water with this. I don't need it now, but this is the benefit of bench testing. Just in case, you have a defective part, you can take care of it rather than have it on the bike. And like I said, worst comes to worst, we'll put the 1000-watt brushless motor back in it, because I know that worked well. But I really like to stay with the brushless motor with the 1800-watt system and with the 32 amp controller. It certainly would make the bike run better, plus the fact that maintenance free. I don't have to mess with the brushes. Well, there is one other possibility I didn't think about. This braking. That when you apply the brake, it shuts the motor off. So I don't know if this, because it could be a closed circuit or open circuit. Now if it's an open circuit, then what I may need to do is join these 2 wires together so that it will provide voltage for my thumb throttle. That could be a possibility. I don't know, but I did tell the seller what wires I hooked up and which wires I didn't hook up. So they may come back and say, you need to hook this up or join them together. So that's a possibility. But I am going to remove these connectors and wire nut these together and see if I can bring that voltage up, because I should be getting 48 to 53 volts off of this going into this. And then when you push on the throttle, then the return wire is your variable voltage coming back to the controller to tell the motor how much voltage to give it, for throttle. And the other thing is, we don't know if this hooked up right. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do a continuity test on it, put it in position, and see which prong gives me continuity, and back this way, see which prongs give me continuity, so I know I got it hooked up correctly. Those are the only two things or three things I could do. But like I said, I'm not going to do anything with this brake safety switch or the braking for it. I'll wait until the seller tells me if that needs to be hooked up or not. But I did tell the seller, like I said, which ones I hooked up and which ones I didn't hook up. Because a lot of these I don't need. Like, I don't need a stopwatch, I don't need a brake light, I don't need they call a charging plug, but if you look on here it says charging plug. It says charge. I don't know if you can see that. So the only other wire I can think of, I don't know what this stalls, this gear stalls, or they call it three-speed gear. I don't know what that's for. The only thing I figured out is for if you have gears on your bike, it stalls the motor so you can change the gears without it grinding so hard. And of course this wire is, like I said, it's a safety wire. So let's see what the seller has to say. But meanwhile, I will check the continuity on this. I'm going to take these and join these together with wire nuts so I make sure I get a good connection. I'll double check my voltage, and if that's not coming up, then what I may need to do is, like I said, I may need to join these wires, because it depends on how they wired this. If it's open or closed when you put on the brake, I don't know. Okay, I got I rewired. I put wire nuts on the thumb throttle, but I'm going to show you the voltage I'm getting from the battery indicator, 52 volts. Now I'm going to go over to the thumb throttle, where the thumb throttle input is. It should be the same, 3 volts. So I either got a defective controller, or that brake switch wire, this guy here, I need to join those together because it's cutting it off. So I don't know. I'm not going to do that until I hear back from the supplier. So we're going to put this on the back burner for now. And I also did the continuity tests on that switch. But the weird thing is, wiggle it out here. The weird thing is, the only continuity I could get off of it is one side of the switch. Let me get this out. Just these two. And the backward position. When I put it forward, I couldn't get continuity anywhere. Of course, I didn't try to put the black here, and maybe it didn't matter. So I tried all different ways. I wasn't getting any closed circuit at all, except for in that position, those two wires. So maybe that's why they said either the black and yellow or the black and white. Or gray. Yeah, gray wire. I extended it into a white wire, but it's either black and yellow or black and gray. So this thing really doesn't have a forward reverse. It just helps you reverse the wires. I don't know. I'm confused. So I'm just going to wait on the seller to see what they say. So we're going to put this on the back burner. Well, viewers, we got some packages here. Start with, we got ourselves some paint. This is what they call candy orange. But in order to apply the candy orange, you first have to put the base metallic silver on it. Then paint it with the candy orange. Then you put the clear coat on it, the 2K. So this is very expensive. I think the clear coat 2K was $23 a can, and these are $15 a can. So if I was going to paint the whole bike, it'd cost me close to $360. That's based on 8 cans of paint each. So I'm not going to be doing that. I bought this because I want to experiment with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot that. Take some of this bar stock I got, and I'm going to paint it to see how difficult it is to put this stuff on. And if it works out good, then what I'm going to use this for is highlights. Like I'm going to probably do my turn knuckles on my front end, maybe my driving hubs, that kind of thing. I'm just going to highlight the bike with it. I was thinking about maybe even doing my steering wheel, but it's only this part in the candy orange. To leave this part black and this up here black. So that was a plan. That's a plan. Maybe some of the bolt heads in the candy orange on the bike, but that's definitely it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint me a bar. That way I can take that down to the Lowe's and try to match up an orange that'll look good with it. So what I'll probably do, since this has an orange base to it, I'm not sure if you're supposed to put a primer on, like a white primer, then the silver, then the candy, then the clear coat. Or can I just go with the silver over the orange? I think I'm just going to go ahead and put primer on it, just to be safe. Then shoot it with the silver, then shoot it with the candy orange, then shoot it with this. See how it turns out. See what it looks like. Okay, viewers, we got our coat of primer on there. I'm only using one coat of all this stuff, so see how it turns out. So what I'll do is I'll lightly sand it, and then I'll do the metallic base next. Okay, viewers, we're getting ready to shoot that with that metallic base, metallic silver. It's been sitting in the sun a little bit. Makes it nice and warm. I lightly sanded that primer. And let's see what we get now. Ooh, flaky. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. And I'm not sure you're supposed to sand that in between, but I'm not. I'm just gonna paint the candy right over that. I'll read the back of the instructions. Okay, viewers, from what I read on the can, it's best to put a primer coat on it, a white primer coat, which I did, thank God. And it needs to dry for 1 hour. You don't need to sand it. You can paint your color on top of that, And then I haven't read that one yet, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. And then once that dries, then you put the clear coat on it, then you just rub it out. Okay, viewers, that flake metallic base is all dry. Now we get ready to shoot the orange, and according to this is more like a tint paint. So you may have to do 2 to 5 coats, depends on the kind of pigment you're looking for. There's no sanding required. No, the only base color they require is that metallic. So let's see what we get. I'll shoot it lightly, and we gotta let it dry like about 20 to 30 minutes between each coat. So let's see what we get. Yeah, it is kind of a tinty color. Kind of looks gold. Okay, we'll let that dry for about 30 minutes. We'll come back and shoot it one more time. Okay, viewers, we're getting ready to shoot the second coat of this candy orange. Here it is. It's getting a little windy. I have to close the garage door and bring out the floodlight. Coat number 2. Starting to turn a little bit more orange. Doesn't look as gold as it did. I think I'm going to do one more coat, and then I'm going to call it good and put the clear coat on it. Maybe the clear coat will make it turn a little darker. Let me get down here a little bit. There we go. Can't get down at the bottom. There we go. We got it. So we'll let that dry for 30 minutes, and we'll come back out and shoot it again. Okay, viewers, we're getting ready to shoot the third and final coat. I think that's all I'm going to do is 3 coats of the candy orange. That's the clear coat. There's the candy orange. It looks a lot oranger than it did before. So let's see what we get. Okay, we're going to let that dry for an hour. Then we'll put the one coat of the clear on it and see what we get. It's looking pretty good. Okay, viewers, we're getting ready to put the clear coat on. Clear 2K. So it's dry. An hour. So I'm going to just put one coat on and see what it looks like, but I'm pretty sure that's all I'm going to put on this because this stuff is really expensive. I gotta walk around the other side because the garage door is closed. Okay, we'll let that dry. It takes about an hour for this to dry as well. And I kind of like the color. This is what they call a candy orange. Okay, it's pretty much dry. That looks pretty good. I like it. It's kind of like more of a metallic than a candy to me. So we have something I can take with me down to Lowe's or Home Depot and try to match it up to something. But this is basically, like I said, it's only going to be an accent paint for like my driving hubs, on my axles, the motor plate, maybe the the knuckles on the steering. And if you're not sure what I mean by the knuckles, I'm talking about these guys right here. Just the knuckles. This and that. Maybe a little highlight on the steering. I may not do the whole steering wheel, but just maybe some tapered stripes. And that's pretty much about it. And probably this piece here. Probably do that. Maybe some of the large bolts that show. Just some light accents. So, okay, viewers, this is the bar I did. Unfortunately, the wind blew it onto the ground when I was doing the orange on it. I just left it. But if you look at this part of it, looks real good. This is in the sunshine. It looks really great in the sun. Really good. So I think I'm gonna do this for the accents on the bike. So there you have it. Now I got me a little something portable I can take with me and match up to another orange for the frame. Okay, viewers, I'm going to give you just a little rundown on how to remove chips out of your paint. Some of you probably already know how to do this. This is targeted for people who don't know how to do this. The last thing you want to do is just sand that over and primer it and paint it, because you're going to have craters left in your paint. If you want it to look more of a professional paint job, you need to feather out these paint chips and then spot primer it. And you may have to, and then sand it over and do it a few times until when you run your hand over it, it's smooth to the other paint. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is, I'm lucky this is in a spot where I can get in here with a sander. I'm using 80 grit. It's pretty aggressive. I want to be aggressive, and what I want to try and do is just feather this all out. So what we're going to do here, that feels good. I don't feel any edges. Maybe a little bit right in there. So I'm going to go back and read on this and feather that out a little bit more. So basically, if you took your fingernail and went across it, you don't want to feel any edges. You want it to be, like in here, I still got a little bit in here to take care of. Spot where I can't get in there with the... Right on the bottom there, take care. Okay, once you get it like that, then what you want to do is you want to take some some kind of cleaners. You can use soap and water or whatever. I'm going to wipe that all off. Now, this is ready to be spot primered. So, what I'm going to do here is I've got some tarps up here, some small tarps. Grab a small tarp. This tarp underneath here, like so. Just looks good. Okay. This can's just about round. This can's just about round, but I think there's enough in here to do the spot primer. So we don't want to paint the whole bike in primer. We just want to primer up the spot that we sanded down and got the chips out of it. And just don't try to cover the whole thing at one time. Okay, now what you're going to do, we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to go over it with some 100. So going from 80 to 100. Then you're going to smooth it out. Then you're going to primer it again. You're going to spot primer it. Probably going to do this 2 or 3 times till it finally is nice and smooth to the actual original paint. Once you get it like that, then you can sand down the rest of the bike and primer the whole bike and then paint it. It'll come out professionally looking. Well, viewers, we're at that time we need to wind down this video. We're at that 30-minute mark. If you have any concerns, criticism, or comments, leave it down in the comments section down below. If you want to leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down, be my guest. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and hit that notification bell. So we're going to wind this down, and like I always say, if I can do it, you can do it.